All right. Welcome everyone. Today for our Sisu training, we're going to talk about how you're setting goals inside your Sisu platform. This video is for productivity coaches. You'll work directly with your agents and you'll walk them through this 12-step system where they go through the economic model and set their goals inside Sisu. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's jump right in and I'll screen share Sisu with you. So when you look here, you'll see when you log into Sisu, you're going to be able to access your goals by hovering over the account feature right here. And then you're going to scroll down to goals and the goals calculator. So let's start with scrolling down to the goal calculator, because this is the easiest way that you're going to walk them through and set their goals. Now, once you're in the goal calculator, the first step here is you're going to choose the scope. So choose the agent that you're going to be setting goals with. So if let's say we'll use Sabrina here as an example, I was setting goals with Sabrina. I'm going to select her name. And now I'm going to be meeting with Sabrina one-on-one or in a small group setting and walk Sabrina through the information here. So you'll see the first thing, there is default numbers already put in the system. So if you don't know the answer for your program, you can utilize the default numbers. I'm going to just use some of the numbers here that are default and also some of the numbers that I know in the current market that we are in. So being in Las Vegas, we have Sabrina. We know our average price point right now is about 450,000. So we're going to put 450 as our average price point. Let's say that Sabrina said she desires to make $100,000 in commission. So we know that that's what her commission is. We know that this is the agent split. So this is asking what percentage of the GCI do we, the coach, or excuse me, does the agent, I apologize, keep from to add up to $100,000. So this here, we would put 60% because she's on a, 64%, because she's on a 70-30 split plus her 6% royalty that she pays to Keller Williams. So she keeps 64% of each commission, and that would add up to the $100,000. Now, the reason I put the 64% is because once she caps and she achieves that capping number for KW, she then is graduated from the productivity coaching program, so she would no longer be part of Sisu. If your program, for some reason, has a sustainable capper or second tier level where people stay inside the program, you may adjust these numbers. You may choose to only put you may choose to put 90%. Let's say they pay 10%, and then we don't calculate the cap in the goals here. So that's the way I'm going to put 64% for these numbers for her. What percentage of the business is buyers? We're going to leave that at 70%. And the average GCI percent, it's defaulted to 3. I like to always calculate on the lower side. So we're going to do 2.5 for fun math here. And then under contract to close, this is saying what percent of your transactions go under contract but never turn into a closing. This is default at 81%. We're going to change this to 80%, which means for every 10 contracts that are open, 2 of them do not turn into a closing. They cancel and they fall out. The next one is signed to under contract. This is from a signed agreement, that's a signed listing agreement, or a signed buyer broker agency agreement. What percentage of those go to under contract? So looking at the signed to under contract, this is saying that 63%, so basically 2 out of every 3 signed agreements turn into a contract. That would actually be 66%. That would be 2 out of every 3. And that's about accurate for the program that I'm seeing. Now, if you know the numbers for your program, you will use those numbers. But once they get the agreement signed, whether that's a listing or a buyer agreement, about 66% of those, so 2 out of every 3, will turn into a actual contract. This is appointments met to sign. So this is speaking of when an agent sets an appointment and they hold that appointment, whether it's a listing appointment or a buyer consultation, what percent of those turn into a signed agreement? So this is default at 1 out of every 3. So you go on 3 appointments, you get 1 signed agreement, and that's what we're going to leave that number at right now. Now, this one is appointments set to appointments met. This is meaning we set an appointment, but then the client, the buyer or the seller no shows, and we actually don't hold the appointment, or they cancel and we don't hold the appointment. So this is saying basically that for every 4 appointments set, we have 1 that cancels, so that no shows. So when we set 4 appointments, 1 of them is going to cancel or not show up. And then this last one is my favorite. This is the conversations to appointments. So it's currently set default at 2%. That would be for every 50 conversations, you would set 1 appointment. I'd like to change that to 1%, especially if you're calling cold leads, circle dialing, expires, FISBOs, all of that. We're looking at about every 100 conversations would create 1 appointment. So that's how we're going to set those goals. So now that we've put these numbers in for Sabrina, we're going to hit calculate. And it's going to give us the option to choose the year. Well, we're still setting goals for 2022, so we're just going to save them to 2022. But if you're doing this with her and you're doing business planning for 2023, you're just going to choose the drop-down menu, select 2023, and then click Save Goals. So we click Save Goals here now, and it's going to then save those goals. Now we can hit View Goals, and it's going to take us into the goal dashboard. So if I went to Account and clicked on Goals, this is where it's going to take us. And you can see it's automatically calculated based on the data we put in, that for her to achieve her $100,000 in commission, she gets to close 6.25 in volume. Her average price point is $450, and that's 13.89 units. So basically 14 units. The monthly closed listings is 4.2, monthly closed buyers is 9.72. Now, it automatically splits it down for the month as well and breaks down how much each month that they should do. It's going to be the same, but if you have a seasonality trends in your business that you know and you're confident of, you could also go through and adjust this. And if you know in January, or if let's say that you know in June, you always do at least 10%, you can adjust it to 10%. And this is going to then increase the goals for June slightly as well. Now, the other thing to note is you can actually add up to over 100% total. So if you want to front load goals, you could choose June, July, and August to actually be at higher percentages. And that could front load goals so they would be able to achieve their goals prior to even going into our 4th quarter of October, November, December, because their goals would be set to exceed their goals prior to that. Because right now we're set at 103%. Now that we've done that, we're going to hit save. And we've now saved her goals. When we go into the dashboard now, and we look at Sabrina's dashboard, you're going to notice when let's pull up Sabrina, you're going to notice now that below the line, she now has goals. So I've chosen goals for the year. So you can see that 5,435 conversations is how many conversations she should have had for the year. Let's go ahead and change the scope to, let's say, today. How many conversations does Sabrina get to have each day to hit her goals? She only needs to have 15 conversations a day. And when she talks to 15 people a day, she's going to hit her goals for the year. So now as she logs her conversations in Command by using the activity tracker or activity log and logging the activities in the contact card, it's going to move this dial up and she'll be able to close this dial. So really neat to see and watch the dials close and watch the colors change and how she'll be able to be on pace or achieve her goal each day of the week. Let's say that we wanted to change that to how many do we need to do for the week. Now we've chosen this week. It's going to tell us that Sabrina gets to have 115 conversations a week. She gets to set 1.4 buyer appointments and basically half of a listing appointment. So 2 appointments a week is what that adds up to. So when Sabrina talks to 115 people a week and sets 2 appointments a week, she'll be on track to achieve her goals for the year. So it breaks it down and makes it easy for them to achieve. So I trust this video helped. I wish you all a wonderful day. Let me know if you have questions.